Muhteşem.
What do I mean with this title? It's not some random video idea that I had out of nowhere. It's the result of many consecutive events. First, I made a video titled The Disturbing Side of Marvel Fandom. It was nothing special, just me talking smack to people who sexualize characters in a Marvel fandom that are not of age. That's the biggest problem that Marvel Rivals and the whole Marvel community has. Weirdos who sexualize minors. But then there was the comment section. To put it simply, it was my first discussion with people who defended the explicit portrayal of underage characters in media. After learning much more about the topic and the people who defend this stuff, I decided to make a second video, titled Fictional Depictions of Young Characters in Media. In that video, I argued against many points that were brought up, like why fantasy still reflects reality. I'm out here playing a competitive team-based video game. The goal is to get the W. The other guy is out here during his private time diddling himself to fictional depictions of minors. Or even try to explain how someone could end up as a lolicon. From what I noticed so far, it starts with fictional depictions of minors. Why? Well, first, because the possession of this stuff is legal in most countries. And second, I think that it's because they are familiar with the media. Many animes, cartoons or video games feature underage characters. And have you ever heard the term waifu? And again, I got many comments. But there were two comments in particular that threw everything on its head, and I don't know what to think anymore. Before I read out the comments, I want to clarify, this section is not me giving them the mic. I'll just present to you an exchange of messages that was one of the hardest reads I have ever done.
I want to start this comment by making it clear that it is pure fact that wanting to have sex with underage fictional characters is pedophilia, that rape, sexual abuse, grooming is bad, and that an adult cannot have sexual or romantic relations with a minor without it being rape, sexual abuse, or grooming. With this said, I feel that you often conflate being a pedophile and being a predator as one and the same, when they truly are two very different things. Unlike being a predator, most people don't actively choose to be a pedo. If you're a predator, you are making an active choice to try to hurt someone else. I wish to reiterate what I said before, rape is bad. Sex with a child is rape, and there is a difference between choosing to rape a person and being forced to feel something. Most people who actively feel attraction towards minors never try to feel that way. They are forced to feel it, and not by anyone's intentions. People like you have no idea how scary it is to feel this way. To feel so many positive emotions for things so disgusting. It makes me so sad to feel like this. But it is out of my control. The only actions I can take for these feelings that I can control is to keep them to myself. I can't tell anyone, because no one would have sympathy. I can't do anything to rid myself of these emotions. The only thing I should do is cry and back off, because anything else would make me a predator.
Now to the second comment. It's not a comment. It was more of an exchange between messages in the game Marvel Rivals. And again, it was hard to read. Basically, it was about the same message as the first comment, but he also explained that being a PDF file is embarrassing, that the label of PDF file is humiliating, and that this is the major reason why people like this don't seek professional help. Because the moment people know about them and their attraction, they are done. No one likes them, no one trusts them, no one wants to be around them. One message that stuck with me the hardest is,
everybody gets born with a struggle. And I have to live like this.
yeah. What are you supposed to think after getting messages like this? For me, it brought up some things that I will talk about in the rest of the video. First and utmost important, what even is the attraction to individuals that are not of age? This attraction is considered to be a mental health condition, defined by internal feelings and patterns of attraction. Clinically, these attractions are further divided into categories, depending on the age range. For example, a pedophile is someone who is exclusively attracted to minors in this specific age range. Now, here's the crazy part. When someone is attracted to any of these age ranges, but also to adults, they are by clinical definition not exclusively one of these three. So what do you call them then? Well, there is no single universal term for this. Different professionals call it different things, like mixed age attracted, non-exclusive attraction, or not age exclusive. This is how it's clinically defined. But society created a mess. Most people use the word pedophile to describe any attraction to minors. The word is used to describe all of it. I ain't gonna lie, I used to do that too. But when I learned about this, I also asked myself, so what's the umbrella term then? The umbrella term is minor attraction, and the term for the person who experiences it is something you've probably heard before. Minor attracted person, MAPS. And yeah, if you have been on Twitter in recent years, then you know that this term was... I don't even know how to describe what happened. Somehow people used a term that was already bad by itself and somehow made it worse. But anyway, when you consider all the stuff I have said so far, then you realize that I have a problem now. Which term do I use throughout the video so we are all on the same tune? I'm going to use PDF file to describe maps, because that's the word that people actually recognize. I know it's dumb after I just explained all of this, but it is what it is. Now let me address the elephant in the room. Why do people feel these attractions? The honest answer is, we don't know. Some research implies that some people have a predisposition from birth due to some biological factors, while other research points to developmental and environmental risk factors. One example would be experiences like trauma. Of course, not everyone who was molested as a child becomes automatically a PDF file, but sometimes the victim becomes perpetrator. Another one would be desensitization from corn addiction. I won't explain it in detail here, because I already did that in the last video. And now comes the big question. What is a predator? Well, to my understanding, psychology draws a moral and legal line between attraction and behavior. So a predator is someone who actively chooses to violently act on these feelings by hurting children. That's a point where the two comments changed my mindset. In the last two videos about this topic, I thought that every PDF file is a potential predator, that it's only a matter of time until they strike, seeing them as a ticking time bomb. I'm pretty sure that many people think this way, seeing a PDF file as a 100% threat to society and making no distinction between a PDF and a pred, that one person is born in a different way and that the other is an unforgivable monster, which is understandable, to be honest. I mean, most of us learned negatively about PDFs from early on. To be precise, from our childhoods, when our parents told us to not talk to strangers. They didn't fully explain us why, only that they will take us away, and then we're never gonna see mommy and daddy ever again. But as we got older, we then fully understood why. And after that, the villainization continued, like when watching movies or a show. One of the easiest ways to make an already hateable character more hateable is by showing the viewer that they hurt children. And sometimes the writers do that by making them predators. Like for example, you got the Mountain from Game of Thrones, Lord Ganon from Berserk, or Freddy Krueger. It doesn't even matter what genre you watch. For example, in comedy, a PDF file is always used to make a dark joke, like in Family Guy. Now let's go to the present, where you got something interesting going on that villainizes PDF files even more. And these are sting operations. To conclude this part, and I don't know how to say that properly without sounding like a weirdo, but we are conditioned to see PDF files as the ultimate evil. And here's the thing, what are we supposed to do? Don't tell kids about predators, Make PDF files the hero of his story? Stop making sting operations? Well, obviously none of that. But let me talk about sting operations a bit more. On paper, the sting operations are a good thing. A team of often professionals uses decoys that pose as minors on dating websites to arrange meeting with creepy adults. The adult then comes to the place, often a sting house. He's out there chilling for a bit, and then surprise!
Are you brain dead?
He gets confronted for his actions.
My name is DeMarcus. How you doing?
Oh, I was actually coming out here to pick up a cupcake.
The police gets called.
911, he's threatening us with a knife!
And then, depending on the cops you meet, the predator gets arrested. And then, depending on where you are, they get convicted.
Because I like it. Hell, I love it. I'm sitting here, I'm just itching. I'm itching to do it again. And you think what? You think you're gonna send me to a nut house? Some doctor, they're gonna get me to stop from doing what I want to do? Well, that ain't happening. Not on my...
So where's the problem? Well, there is one interesting cause of sting operations that is also needed for society. And that is that they unintentionally evoke fear. What do I mean by that? Do you remember the old portrayal of predators? The lonely older man with his long coat and creepy aura? But sting operations made the masses aware of something that was always the case in this world. A predator could be anyone. Doesn't matter what ethnic background.
I'm black, you're black.
I know this is the white only bench, but hopefully some color can come in.
Social background.
What do you do for work?
I don't work right now.
So that's why you had a 15-year-old boy Uber you?
But what kind of work do you do?
Do you still,
I'm a sales manager.
you still work for Simeon's?
Siemens, yeah.
That's a great job.
Or religious background.
You're a Christian, right? Yeah. Here, man, I'm a Christian too.
He does practice the Muslim religion.
They could even be related to you.
And who would you be in relation?
I'm his son.
You're a son?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just think about this for a moment. There is something horrible out there in this world, and it seeks to hurt the most innocent thing in this world, and you don't even know who they are. But they could be anyone around you. I mean, this is completely horrifying, especially when you are a parent of a young kid. Also, it's important to know about this danger. We as society need that awareness, and not pretending that it doesn't exist, like a certain gaming company does. Anyway, what I'm trying to get here is, when you pair this fear together with the likely possibility that many people's only exposure these days to PDF files are sting operations, I doubt that the average person spends hours learning about PDF files, then you get something interesting. If you ever took a look at the comment section of a sting video, then you saw that they are always full of, understandably, disgust about the predator.
The fact that he continuously brings up his dead daughter as an excuse is sickening.
Giving props to the sting team.
After retiring from 18 years of being a minor, thank you for this catch.
And making meme about the predators.
EDP walked so these preds could run.
And sometimes the cops.
Why did the officer seem so annoyed? Mad respect for the boss. Notice how the cops immediately assume the black guys are trespassed.
I just say how it is. The comment section is just us all coping. Why? Because of the fear that these people trigger in us. That it could be anyone around us. That someone who seems to be so normal is in reality a piece of shit. This just shows that we are not in control of the situation. You could do your best as a parent, uncle, sibling or whatever. But no matter what you do, these predators are out there. And they honed their tactics to hurt what you love. You have to react what they do. It's reaction to action. It's hard to be one step ahead of them. So to regain control of our emotional state, we cope with hatred or comedy. Both of these show themselves also in the form of dehumanization. I remember a sting video by Chris Hansen. It was your typical procedure, but it was shocking to me. Not because the guy was beyond terrible than your average predator, but because he didn't mess around. He didn't try to escape into excuses and blame everyone else around him or a mental illness or some other shit. He 100% gave the fault to him.
Everything was my fault.
Wanted the maximum punishment.
Like I said, I guess just get rid of me. I don't think I belong here.
And apologized to his family for disappointing them.
I'm sorry, Mom, for everything. I'm a failure. fraud.
But when you look at the comment section, no one wrote a comment in this direction. They wrote the usual disgust and memes. I ain't gonna lie, they were pretty funny. I just want to make one thing clear. This does not excuse any of his behavior. I was just shocked. Because when you watch a lot of Sting videos, then you know that someone taking responsibility is extremely rare. But this made me realize something. Fear is what makes us stop distinguishing between attraction and action. In the public mind, a PDF file and a predator often become the same thing. And once that happens, a PDF file never gets a chance to be humanized. Because no one will ever humanize a predator.
Let me clarify this, because I think it didn't land right. After watching that catch, I realized how much fear controls this topic. We're so afraid that we stop seeing nuance entirely, even genuine regret doesn't register anymore. And once society reaches that point, a PDF file who never offended never gets a chance. Because in people's minds, predators and PDF files are already the same thing.
But for me, it made me question one thing in particular. How does it feel to be a PDF file today? Let me come back to the two comments for a moment. Both of them said that they are not seeking professional help. The first person wrote because no one would ever have sympathy. The other one said that once people know about you being a PDF, you're done. And right here we need to ask ourselves something bigger. How extreme is society's rejection to this label really? Let me give you a thought experiment to make this all a bit clearer. Imagine asking someone a series of would you rather questions. And if you decide to make one option is always being labeled a PDF file, and the other option is almost anything else, then you can safely assume which one people would choose. Every time. Being labeled a PDF file is one of the most destructive things that can happen to your public image. When people want to completely discredit someone, one of the most effective tactics is to associate them with this label. If there is even a hint of suspicion, it's enough. We've seen this play out publicly more than once. I'm sure that you can recall at least one public beef between rappers, YouTubers or other public creators in the last few years where this happened. Once people connect the label PDF file to a person, they are done. The only label worse than this is the one of a child predator. This is a point of no return. I mean, some of us have probably seen videos of people forgiving their child's murderer in court. But have you ever seen someone who forgives a child predator? But let's go back to the PDF. Even being associated with a PDF file can damage your own reputation. Ask yourself honestly now, would you openly be friends with someone who is known to have that attraction, even if they never acted on it? Most people wouldn't. Not necessarily because they are evil, because they are afraid of what that association would do to their own lives. But also the attraction itself. What the second person wrote hit me the hardest when they said that being labeled a PDF file is embarrassing. I don't know how to say that polite or in an academic way, so I'm just going to say it as raw as it is. Some struggles like PTSD, addiction or depression are allowed to exist in public. They are even used to make fictional characters more interesting, more complex or sometimes even cooler. This one isn't. Attraction to minors is a struggle that, like I said earlier, media always gives to villains or joke characters. It has no social redemption arc. What I'm trying to say here is, imagine your struggle is only associated with hatred or jokes. It doesn't humanize anyone, and that's why people either reject it or turn it into something to mock. I mean, just imagine someone writing a show where the main character is a PDF file. Most people would either refuse to watch it, and some would even attack the author. Or they turn the whole thing into a meme. You couldn't even tell anyone that you watch it, because then people think that you are a weirdo. I think that this is how it feels to be a PDF file. They have a struggle that they never even ask for, and they have to hide it forever, because otherwise everyone will either reject or meme them. Sure, they can seek professional help, but this kind of therapy doesn't change the attraction. There is no cure for PDF files. The therapy helps people control impulses and make sure they never act on it. Statistically, it's suggested that most people with this attraction never offend with or even without this kind of therapy. But we all know some of them become offenders. And it's hard to tell what's make them act. It's easy to say that they are just evil and quit the conversation. But obviously they are not all the same person. So there is more to it. And just to be clear here, before I go any further, none of this excuses harm. It explains why prevention is complicated. I have a theory about a certain type of predator. I mean the shockingly insightful predator, the one I talked about earlier. Also, it's something I want to be very careful with, so that's the most professional I will ever talk. I think for them it's a total failure of control. They have years of suppression, isolation, shame, and stuff like this stacks up over time. Unless you have someone to talk to, an outlet, or a reality check. But like I explained earlier, they ain't getting that. Over time, all boundaries weaken, and then an opportunity appears. In that moment, everything that holds to use them back fails at once. These guys don't deny anything, don't make excuses, don't blame drugs or a mental illness.
Do you have, I mean, what do you have to say about this, Adam? This is,
Ashamed of myself, honestly.
you're just what?
Ashamed of myself.
They accept the punishment, say they deserve jail.
I mean, being that you agree that this isn't right, I mean, what do you think should happen to you?
I should probably go to jail.
Apologize to their families, and you just see this empty stare on their face. That moment doesn't look like someone being exposed for who they always are. It looks like someone whose entire internal world just collapsed. It's no longer a fantasy, it's reality hitting them hard in the face. That doesn't excuse what they did, not even close. But it shows something important. Becoming a predator isn't inevitable. It isn't random. I am not saying that they wouldn't do it if society would be more understanding. I'm just proposing a theory that suggests that their actions could be the result of failure of boundaries, coping and control. Once that line is crossed, there is no undoing it. But obviously this is only one type of predator. I am fully aware that not everyone has a tragic collapse of boundaries. There are people who are just straight up awful. I talk about the ones that be telling excuses on why it was justified.
She was 13 and I was like, age is a number, but I guarantee somewhere along the line when we were talking, she was talking like she was older.
Try to minimize the situation.
I was not going to do anything with anyone younger than 17, which is the legal age of consent. I understand that fully.
Change the situation.
How old did Leah tell you she was?
18 on the app?
And she told you she was 15, right?
No.
Engage in projection.
When I was growing up, my dad wasn't exactly all there in the mind. He abused us and horribly abused us.
Or even try to reinvent morality.
A period tracker?
A period
just
tracker.
To see what she would say? Yeah, we're talking and
Does an experiment.
I just wanted to know what her answer was gonna say. That's it.
Also, there is something about some predators that I haven't mentioned until now. Not every child predator is a PDF file. I know that sounds unbelievable, and it took me a while to really understand that too. But the uncomfortable truth is that some people aren't acting out of attraction, they are acting out of power, secrecy, and opportunity. I remember one Chris Hansen case, where on the surface the guy looked like your average older married dude with a normal life. But what actually drove him wasn't attraction to kids. It was the fact that he wanted something no adult around him could give him. He wanted a guarantee to get away with it without facing any consequences. In cases like this, minors aren't chosen because of desire, but because they are vulnerable and less likely to expose what happened. That doesn't make it any less evil. If anything, it makes it worse. Because in these cases, minors are treated as tools. Anyway, let's talk us more about fantasy. Oh, my back hurts. Oh, Jesus. In my last video, I made it clear that I think that in this matter, fiction reflects reality. Being attracted to fictional characters is PDFic attraction. That part hasn't changed for me, but my perspective has changed on other things. For example, I understand why so many people who are attracted to fictional minors defend it so strongly. When you look at their arguments, one thing that always comes up is, they are not real. And to be honest, this is true. These are fictional characters, there is no real child involved, no direct victim is created at the moment. But that does not mean that it's healthy or unproblematic. I still think it becomes deeply concerning when someone makes an underage character their waifu and actively seeks out explicit content to, you know. I don't think fiction magically separates desire from reality. But at the same time, and don't take this the wrong way, I also understand why it exists as a coping mechanism for some people. When someone has an attraction they never ask for, can't act legally or morally, can't talk openly about it, and can't integrate into a normal romantic life, they will look for some outlet. Something that keeps the urge contained and away from real people. Let me ask you a very uncomfortable question that shows how messed up this situation really is. Should someone with this attraction turn to fictional content or to real CP? The only sane answer here is neither. Both are wrong. But here's where reality gets ugly. Psychology shows that total suppression without support doesn't make the urges disappear. Sometimes it makes it even stronger. This doesn't make any of this healthy, acceptable, or okay. It just means that when you are dealing with something this broken, the choices people face aren't between good and bad. They are between bad and worse. For some, fantasy becomes a way to keep the urge from spilling into the real world, while for others, it does the opposite. It reinforces the attraction and slowly erases barriers that were holding them back. There is no clean answer here. No option where anyone walks away innocent. You are stuck in a gray zone here, where the goal is simply to prevent the worst thing imaginable from happening. And even that doesn't come with guarantees. Anyway, also one thing that I noticed is that some people who engage with this kind of stuff are in denial about having PDF file tendencies. I talk about the age versus appearance debate. Some of them claim that they have no real PDF tendencies because these characters are not real, so therefore feeling attraction to them is also not real.
I need therapy!
Let me take the Marvel franchise as an example, because that's the franchise that started this whole video series. So this franchise got a lot of adult characters, from movies, shows, games, comics, or whatever. So why do some people, out of this huge pool of adult characters, find the fictional minors appealing? In this case, patterns of attraction show up in fantasy. And I can't think of any other way to explain it. But some people try, and argue that these characters don't look like their actual age, that they look much older, and that their bodies are more developed.
I need therapy!
Like for example, and this is now outside of the Marvel franchise, but still in the fictional space, I heard one guy say that he thinks that Yoko Lindner from the anime Gurren Lagann is waifu material, because he's a breast guy, while acknowledging that she is canonically 14.
I need therapy!
On some real shit right now. If you ever find yourself making that argument, never say it out loud in public. Because this logic is identical to the kind of justification predators use when they say she might not be 18, but her body is. That's not a fictional debate anymore. That's rationalization. And once you cross that kind of thinking, the problem isn't how old the character looks, it's why age stopped mattering to you in the first place. And with that, I want to transition to another group of people who often get accused of being PDF files. People who like a very specific type of fictional character. And I'll be honest, I used to be one of these accusers. I used to think that if someone liked a character who is canonically an adult, but looks young, there's something wrong going on with them. And for clarification, I'm talking about characters like Tatsumaki from One Punch Man or Rebecca from Cyberpunk. Not the stereotypical 1000-year-old lolly excuse. I'm drawing a hard line here. That's PDF file stuff. No way to argue around that. But my perspective on that first category changed. Here's why. When you look at real people, you realize very quickly that humans don't develop on a fixed visual timeline. Some adults look way younger than their age, and some minors look way older. That's just reality. On one side you have people like my younger brother. When he was 16 years old, he had a full beard, huge build, and was 6 feet tall. Everybody thought that he was my older brother.
Also, remember what I implied earlier. Just because someone looks like an adult doesn't mean they can be treated as one.
But on the other side, I have a female friend. She's 24. She's 5'1", and she looks much younger than she actually is. And because of that, she has had genuinely uncomfortable encounters with older men who thought that she was underage. So no, I am not going to pretend that young looking automatically means minor, because in the real world, that logic hurts actual adults. With that being said, and that's important now, I'm also not denying that there are creepy people who deliberately seek out youth-coded appearances because it reminds them of minors. With characters like Rebecca or Tatsumaki, you can clearly see that some people intentionally exaggerate youth-coded traits to create explicit content as a kind of workaround, a way to say technically it's legal, while still chasing the same visual cues. I also acknowledge that it exists the other way around, that there are artists who create content of characters that are canonically minors, but drawing them with more mature features, also as a way to say technically it's legal. Both of these people famously use the sentence, all characters depicted are 18+. Both of these are problematic, not accidental, and that's not something I'm defending. In the end, it's like the person from the first comment said, people like you have no idea how scary it is to feel this way. And yeah, the more I looked into this, the more I realized how uncomfortable the whole topic actually is. I try to understand this as much as I can from the outside, but there is a hard limit. If you don't live with it, you will never fully get it. All you can do is make guesses based on research and what people tell you. In my last video I said that explicit depictions of underage characters come with serious risks, and I still stand by that. Those risks are real. I'm not walking back. But at the same time, I learned that for some people this stuff functions as a coping mechanism. Not a healthy one, not a good one, and definitely not something I'm defending. It's just something that exists. And the ugly truth is, taking it away completely doesn't magically fix the problem either. Sometimes it just pushes it somewhere else. There is no cure, there is no clean solution, you are stuck in a gray zone where every option has consequences. And no matter what you choose, someone gets hurt somewhere. The best you can realistically aim for is harm reduction and preventing the worst possible outcomes, especially when real children are involved. And honestly, everything about this topic sucks. It's depressing. So yeah, shout out to all the people who deal with this kind of stuff every day. Psychologists, criminologists, investigators, sting operators. Shout out to Gideon, Skeeter Jean, Omar, Alex Rosen, Trilogy, Media, and everyone I just forgot now. And the cops who actually care about protecting kids. Being exposed to the side of humanity nonstop breaks people. And when someone in this line of work decides they need to step away because it's too much, I don't judge them at all. Looking at this part of the world every single day takes a lot. The fact that some people still do it day after day deserves respect. I don't know what else to say, so this is the end of the video.